you, Dr. Barwell Brownlee. Let's give it up for the coming one more time. We are so grateful to you for having us here today. We have a small token of our love, which my colleagues will get to you today, just to say thank you. We truly appreciate it. Well, I'm Rachael Tutwiler Fortune. I think I know most of us in the room, if not everyone. And I just want to echo Kevin in expressing our gratitude to you for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to be with us here today. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I also want to thank Dr. Greene, our fearless Superintendent of Schools for Duval County Public Schools, for partnering and for being here today, as well to help share some highlights on the state of education in Duval County. I'm so grateful that she's joining here at the podium. There's so much that we can share and want to share, so much so that we were like, we want to put some more data in the room because 15 minutes is not enough time to cover everything that there is to share about public education, but we hope that through the highlights that we share with you today, it really kind of tells you a little bit about where we've been, where we are, and then we hope to hear from you today as we really, as Kevin so eloquently described earlier, and Dr. Barwell Brownlee as well, really seek to develop plans for the next chapter of our work and impact at the Jacksonville Public Education Fund. So we want to start by talking about our students, as everything that we do is in service to them and their success in our schools and in life beyond school. There are many factors that impact student success. So we're also going to be talking about our teachers, our schools, the Duval County School District, and our community's broader context. And as we take this journey, I ask you to please listen for the impact that you've helped make possible and the lessons that we've learned every step of the way. So we'll start back in 2009 when the Jacksonville Public Education Fund was launched. I'll give it to Dr. Greene.
I also was not here in 2009 and really wish I was to be at the very beginning of this initiative that was so powerful. I think you cannot really understand what you've done since 2009 to present without seeing the magnitude. So in 2009, only 1 in 3 students graduated from high school on time. And this community came together, JPEF, with a lot of funders and individuals who felt we needed to do something, that the numbers that were before them were definitely, and if we could go to the next slide, were not what was needed. And it wasn't going to help Jacksonville become a better community. And so since 2009, the graduation rate was about 58% in 2009. To when the last time this information is being posted in 2021 to 90%. The growth between 58% to 90% on its face, is tremendous. But then you start asking yourself, well, is that African American, Hispanic, Caucasian? Who's represented in that 90%? And when you look at this next chart, you will see that the work that has been done with JPEF, other providers, other supporters, along with Duval County Public Schools. Oh, I have a clicker? I'm sorry, I'm waiting for somebody. Truly made an impact. And there is one person, and we need to truly recognize, because even though this initiative started as a community, you still needed people inside Duval County Public Schools to bring these things together and ensure that these initiatives were going to be brought to the place where it was needed, at the school level, in the classroom. And so Dr. Kelly Coker-Ganjos, who is currently Duval County Public Schools School Board President, was the Assistant Superintendent of Research and Assessment and was on the ground level of this initiative. And through her work, along with JPEF and along with everyone else, this is why you see this data. This is why you see, as we bridge the gap to the cap. Everyone is graduating. That 90%, you can see Hispanic students are graduating, African American students are graduating, And those numbers would not be possible without the groundwork done in Duval County Public Schools under Dr. Kelly Coker, along with JPEF. And so if we could, let's give her a round. Now, Rachel said we have 15 minutes, so this story is going to be really short. It's all great looking at that data, but behind every single one of those data points is a child, is a young person. And too often, when we listen to the news, social media and everything, we are always hearing about the worst of what we see in our young people. These numbers represent about the best that we see in our students. And there is one particular student who is represented on that data point there named Daryl Worrell. Daryl Worrell graduated last year from Joan Ribot High School. He was the first African-American male saluted valedictorian for Joan Ribot High School. He graduated with over a 4.5 GPA. Also, not only did he graduate, but he had completed his AA degree. So when he went off to, I'm sorry, President, Florida State University, I'm sorry.
We get it for the master's degree.
Okay, not the master's degree. For Florida State University, he talked, when I asked him, okay, you gotta tell me because I want to share your story. He talked about programs like Achievers for Life. He talked about 5,000 role models. He talked about all these things that this community invested in him. And so not only did he walk across the stage as this one-to-one initiative with a high school diploma, he walked halfway through his bachelor's degree, ready to go to the next level. He's majoring in finance, so he is coming back for a master's degree. So I will try to get him to UNF to get his master's degree, but his last statement to me, Dr. Greene, I am coming back to Jacksonville to make my community a better person. So, whatever we are doing, that is what it is about. It is not about all this stuff that we are dealing with. It is about these students, these data points, that each of them have their own story. Each of them may have received some support from any one of you in this room. And I think you just needed to know that the dollars that were spent years ago did not go unused. They did not become wasted dollars, that these children are being impacted years beyond that. And so I'm beyond my time, so I'm going to move on to that. But you know what? When we bring people together, if we don't share our story, no one else is going to share it for us. So if you ever meet Daryl Worrell, please know that you touched his life, and that young man is where he is today because of the initiatives this community started long ago.
Shared with us that story about Daryl Worrell. That is very inspiring, and there are so many students like him that because of the partnerships represented in this room, young people are on the path to greater success. Since 2009, we're in 2022 now, the landscape has continued to evolve. Today, 83.5% of public school students attend traditional public schools, and 16.5% attend public charter schools. We're very grateful for our charter partners represented in the room as well today. JPEF really endeavors to partner to ensure quality public education is accessible by our local students and that they receive the opportunities and support they need to thrive. The bottom line is that when our students thrive, our community thrives. As indicated on the slide, high school graduates earn more, and when they earn more, they spend more, bolstering our local economy. So over the last 12 years, we've worked really hard to address disparities, to ensure equitable outcomes for all students, regardless of their socioeconomic status. And so we want to move along now and talk about the work that happened on the heels of One by One. Local philanthropists partnered to invest nearly $40 million in human capital improvements in schools where significant investment was needed most. The Duval Transformation Office, as it was called at the time, and consisted of Greene's, as well as Andrew Jackson high schools and middle and elementary schools that feed into those schools. Today, Duval Schools has what is called the Office of Innovation and School Improvement, which focuses on improving the academic achievement of our most vulnerable students. And that's what the QEA partners did. They invested considerably to support our city's most vulnerable students. Through those investments, I know you can't read the slides, so don't try to. We're happy to send it to you after the fact. The TNTP, or as previously known as the New Teacher Project, conducted deep audit of existing human capital or human resources policies to ensure best practices, as well as to provide training to teachers related to updated standards. Teach for America received support to have significant presence in 36 schools designated as transformation zones through QEA. The Jacksonville Teacher Residency Program was created for teacher candidates with a focus on STEM, and it was designed for high-achieving math and science majors to serve 1 year assigned to a veteran teacher and 3 years minimum in their own. Performance incentives were a considerable investment to recruit high-performing teachers to the classrooms that needed them and to retain the strongest teachers in Duval County's lowest income school communities. And the impact was clear. The school grades in that region improved considerably over the QEA fund time period. 3% of schools had an A grade at the beginning of that work to 15% having an A. And importantly, 33% of those schools moved from having an F to 0% by 2017. There's further evidence of the impact of that work, including the graduation improvements that we're seeing, as well as the improvements on the standardized assessment. And I was not in Jacksonville. That's the one period of JPEF's life that I missed. For those who know me, I kind of traveled back to Jacksonville. I'm born and raised here, was proud to be a part of that early work, 1 by 1, 1 and 3. And then was off in California and DC for a little while, but came back on the heels of the QEA initiative. But it really showed, it was a powerful model of how community and school partners can come together to make positive things happen for children. And as is always the case with any body of work, there were also critical lessons learned. We're always looking at data for the purpose of continuous improvement of the work as well. And the things that we learn from that work continue to help us refine and strengthen our approach to the work that we've continued over recent years at the Jacksonville Public Education Fund. I'll give you one example of a lesson learned. The retention bonuses, one of the performance incentives offered through the QEA fund, really help keep effective, strong teachers in historically struggling schools where they were having considerable impact. However, the results were mixed a little bit more so on the recruitment bonuses side. And we know well from the work that we advance today that every school setting isn't the same. And every good teacher isn't a great teacher for our most vulnerable student populations. And there are many factors that go into teacher effectiveness and making sure that we can really reach our diverse student body here in Duval County. So, and one example of the ongoing legacy of the QEA fund work is the 1,000 by 2025 initiative that we implement today, through which JPEF, DCPS, UNF, and so many other partners are laser focused on attracting, supporting, and retaining a more diverse teaching force, as research shows us that all students, and especially students of color, benefit from having educators in schools that represent the rich diversity of our students and of our community. That work is directly informed by lessons learned coming out of the QEA investment. Next slide here. The impact of those earlier investments, I'm trying to see if I see her. I know Dr. Diane Yellow-Hoppy was going to try to join us. She's the former dean of the UNF College of Education and Human Services. But she really attributes, we've had ongoing conversations with her, but the changing culture of how the College of Education at UNF approaches its teaching and learning practices to being a part of the QEA partnership. The Jacksonville Teacher Residency today is ongoing and a self-sustaining effort as a result of the continued fundraising efforts of UNF. But certainly that work and the impact that teachers coming out of that work are having would not be possible without the investments made through QEA. Jump back to this slide really quickly just to say that TNTP does continue to partner with JPEF to provide professional learning opportunities for teachers and leaders through JPEF's teacher and school leadership initiatives. Teach for America and DCPS have a renewed partnership leveraging the commitment of core members and alumni, which is especially important now as we grapple with a national and a local teacher shortage. Fewer teachers are entering the profession, period, and many more are leaving the classroom, and that's one of the crises we're going to have to grapple with. We need talented and passionate people entering teaching careers. And all of these partners and human capital pipeline components that we describe here have put us in a better position, and we're grateful that many of the partners I just named are actually actively contributing as well to that 1,000 by 2025 initiative. We go. So finally, before I turn it back to Dr. Greene, JPEF, Kids Hope Alliance, I see Dr. Sarah Lynn Grass here, DCPS, Read USA, and other partners have locked arms to address literacy disparities through the Read Jacks campaign. If you've not heard of it, you will soon be hearing about it. On the heels of significant learning loss following the coronavirus pandemic. The slide on the screen right now shows us the impact of COVID-19 on third grade literacy across the entire state of Florida. The darker the shade of blue, the more proficient in literacy students are. And the difference in the state map in 2018-19 and 2020-2021 is astonishing. That's a real call to action for us as we move forward. Turn it back to Dr. Greene.
So as I stated, I wasn't here when QEA started, but I do want to share that there are still some very strong relationships and collaborations from that work. And just 3 of them that I'd like to point out. The Jacksonville Teacher Residency. Yes, UNF continues to fundraise, but Duval County Public School also contributes 50% of the cost for those teachers. We have made that commitment and will continue to support that initiative. Many of those educators are in our secondary schools. When you look at our data for our high schools, they are our rock stars. Our high schools, since 2009, I do not believe we've had a D-rated high school in over a decade. And that contributes to all the efforts that have gone into supporting students. Teach for America. When I first arrived, Teach for America, we won't go into that, but I met with Teach for America, and and Dr. Coker was in her position at that time, and Dr. Coker provided me data on our Teach for America educators. And what we found is they were rock stars at the secondary level. And so we came back, hey, we want to continue this partnership, but we want to focus on secondary. The teachers that are coming out, that content knowledge, they have it. They can learn working with young adults. Our little elementary babies, you need more content knowledge. It is just not working. And so we have moved our partnership. They supply secondary teachers, and they have been an outstanding partner. We continue to grow. We continue to support the alumni and those that desire to go into leadership. We have been there to support them all the way. And so we are very proud that we have continued that strong relationship with Teach for America. We also have done training with TNT. We actually use their research on the opportunity gap that many African American, or in their words, Black and brown marginalized students really have the capability of performing at high levels. What is missing is the opportunity to perform at those high levels. And so we have embraced that research and have infused it into what we call our 4-step and our walkthroughs, ensuring that all students, no matter whether they are on the north side, west side, east, or south, that they are all receiving high-level, rigorous instruction. And it's done through our walkthrough tool, which was grounded in that TNT research based on the opportunity gap. But we still have challenges. COVID-19 Maybe in its waning, it may be in a time that we're not really noticing it as much, but COVID-19 has had a tremendous impact on our students. And the interesting thing is that the impact, if you look at our data, was on the primary students at first, our elementary students. That is the map that Rachael shared with you, 3rd grade proficiency. It just went this way. And our secondary students were not as impacted in the beginning, but now we are starting to see the impact with secondary students. We're starting to see primary, elementary students rebound from COVID-19. We're expecting, even with a new assessment, BEST, that our younger children are rebounding, and we're starting to see evidence in our data. But our secondary students, we are starting to see the impact that COVID has had on them. Mental health. We have waiting lists for students, even though we have a very strong partnership with United Way, Kids Hope Alliance. Between the 3 of us, we are putting over $10 million into mental health therapists so that every single one of our high schools has their own mental health therapist supporting students. We also, as a district, invested in Hazel Health. Our students have access to virtual mental health therapists as well as face-to-face. And we are seeing that they are utilizing those services to the max. So much so that we have to continue monthly to respond to students who are on a waiting list so that we can get to them as soon as possible. The teacher shortage is real. Duval County, right now, we have close to 500 teaching vacancies. We haven't had 500 teaching vacancies we've never had 500 teaching vacancies. Even with the support of everything that we have done with our ESSER funding, the support of thinking outside the box, we are recruiting second career individuals. We have our own teacher pipeline. All of our paraprofessionals, we will pay for their 2-year degree to get a teaching certificate. So we are doing any and everything. We are working with UNF. We are trying to develop that pipeline. We've started our own teacher academy. We have schools now that we have juniors that are starting their dual enrollment coursework. I've been given 15 more minutes to do so, and when we look at our top, and these are our top, these are our top 3 challenges. We have many other challenges. We are in a very different world in our state, and we believe that we will not take our eye off the ball. We are keeping, in the old days, they used to say, keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is teaching and learning. We at the district are working with our board, working with our community, but what we do is ensure that our schools can focus on our students, focus on teaching and learning, and literacy has now come to the forefront again. The highest we've ever been in Duval County for 3rd grade literacy is 51%. And I'm not going to brag, it was my year I came here, but COVID hit and then everything just went in a very different direction. And so now we are back with a vengeance to really tackle this literacy issue. And we understand that there are many other areas that are roadblocks to literacy, such as students not having access to health care before they start elementary school, students not having access to high quality books in their homes. There are many things that can be roadblocks for students to be proficient and literate by 3rd grade. We are working to break those roadblocks. We are working to demolish those roadblocks for our students. So we are partnering with JPEF and Kids Hope Alliance with the program called Read Jacks, the initiative Read Jacks. It's been an effort, a labor of love over this past year, and that we have so many other partners that are joining this fight with us. And if you're not a part of it, when you leave, I hope that you will get more information to figure out how you can be a part of this, because it does not matter whether a child attends a charter school or a traditional public school. They are a member of this community. And if they can't read, then they're not able to support this community and make this community the best place to live. I don't have to be from Jacksonville to have a love for Jacksonville. But if I'm in Jacksonville, I better love what I do, and we better decide whether we think literacy is important enough to engage and invest in. So this is not about charter or traditional. It is about Duval County Public Schools and Jacksonville as a community. Very lastly and very quickly, we were going to share the history of state assessment. Over the last decade, we've been through, this will be our third new assessment called FAST. It will begin this school year. We will not have data until December of 2023. So we do not know at this point what the standards will be for proficiency. But we are working with our schools that does not matter. Proficiency, we know what good readers can do. We know what good readers are able to do in third grade. And the goal is we need to focus on ensuring that we can give access to our students the opportunity to have high quality instruction so that they can be proficient readers by the end of third grade. This data point is not on the slide. But any student that is retained in third grade, they are now 69% less likely to graduate high school on time. And if they're retained in third grade and one other grade level after third grade, it's up to 96% that they're unlikely to graduate from high school. So this is the new, in my opinion, civil rights for our students. If they are not literate, we are not giving them the opportunity to access all the opportunities that are available to them, not only in our community, in our state, and in our nation. So I am very passionate. Rachael and Kids Hope Alliance, we are all passionate and feel that this is something that we can all gather the wagons around and coalesce and really come together to make a difference for our students.
Kevin already spoke to the last slide, which is just how incredible it's been to see this community rally together in recent years to better fund our schools. That's a part of the solution. And to wrap this part of the program up, I just want to just say again how grateful we are that you're here. We know that there has been incredible impact because of everything that every person in this room and others outside of this room has done over the years. We also know that we are at an inflection point for public education and for our students. And that this is the time more than ever to really make sure, on the heels of so many things that the world, our nation, our state and community has been grappling with, to really figure out what we can do to make sure our students, the invitation that you received to be here today spoke to the class of 2035. When we were reflecting on this forum, we realized that the kids who are in kindergarten today are the class of 2035. So we're not talking about kids that are imaginary or don't exist yet. They are our future workforce. We're really grateful for your thought partnership, your commitment, and your engagement as we move forward to move the needle for our young people. Thank you so much.